RMJ Movie Reviews back again. This is a on location, on the fly completion of my Arnold Schwarzenegger movie reviews. So I told some of my subscribers I was gonna do this right from the beach. So I just decided to be super gangster with it. I don't have a tripod, nothing. I'm just doing it straight from the beach. Looking at this fine chick walking in front of me. Can't turn the camera because that would just be ignorant. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna let you guys imagine. But this is with my Arnold Schwarzenegger movie review of Red Sonja from 1985. Well, Red Sonja was a movie that I saw again on the Showtime cable network back in, I don't know, it was probably late 80s, 1986, maybe 87, something like that. And just because the near presence of Arnold Schwarzenegger with a sword, I love that movie. Absolutely loved it. And I continued to watch Red Sonja over the years. FYI, around town it closed, so I purchased it, the DVD. Obviously, it's not on Blu-ray, I don't think. I rewatched it again. This is maybe like 6 years ago, and I was thinking, okay, it's bad, but it still has a charm to it. And you know what? I will totally agree with you all. Now watching Red Sonja as a 37-year-old adult and not a 6-year-old or 7-year-old when I first saw it on cable, it's bad. And it's real bad. But it's charmingly bad. The line delivery in it, pretty much almost from everybody, minus Sandra, I can't say her name, Bergman, who was Valeria from Conan the Barbarian, minus her, and I can't remember the one actor, the guy who plays a psycho in every movie, the heavy-set dude who was in the movie Crime Wave. His line delivery is good. Brigitte Neilson, I mean, a lot of people, I've been reading some retro reviews and some re-reviews of the DVD. A lot of people like to hate on Brigitte Neilson, but look, guys, let's keep it real. She was fine as hell. That was why she got the job. And she was tall. That was why she got the job, because she was fine. And all that to say, her line delivery is absolutely stilted. It's awful, but that's okay because, I mean, at the time, Brigitte Neilson was fine. And she looked fine with that red wig on. I mean, she looks fantastic. I think there's a scene where, like, her sister gets shot with arrows. And I love the fact that, like, she's trying to wake her sister back from death. And it's almost not even like she's really in agony. It's kind of more like she's like trying to wake up that drunk person at a fraternity, sorority party. And it's just like they've drank too much and you're just trying to wake them up so you can hurry up and go home because you got to get up and go to work in the morning. It was like, that was kind of like her delivery of the line. Like, it's just like you don't want to be bothered, but you have to like do it. So, you know, you can get this person out of here. It was kind of like, I'm doing this because I have to, but man, this is a headache type of deal. That was her line delivery of trying to wake her sister back from the dead. It's fantastic. Arnold's delivery, and I will say, this was at the time where Arnold was kind of still ripe. You know, I believe Red Sonja, I think, was his 4th movie released. I think, you can look it up, I think it was 4th. I think Raw Deal came afterwards, I think. But anyway, you know, I will say, I think Arnold's line delivery was better in this than it was in the original Conan the Barbarian. That's my opinion. I mean, I know some people will be like, oh, he was horrible. But I really thought, I actually did not think Arnold was that bad. And pretty much in this was not Arnold's movie. He's not the character of Conan. Those of us who've seen the movie 50 times. But, you know, he's supposed to be somebody called Kalidor, something like that. He's basically Conan overall. But basically, Arnold Schwarzenegger's role is an extended cameo. According to what I was reading on the trivia, he was supposed to come in the movie as Conan. They couldn't get the rights, so they made up this Kalidor, whatever his character's name is. And he was basically supposed to come in, say, hey, Sonja, what's happening? Kill like 2 dudes and bounce. That ended up not happening, and basically he became more of a supporting player in the movie, which is what he is. It's Brigitte Neilson's movie, but honestly, we all know that when Arnold steps on screen, he owns the movie. We just know that. And even though Arnold isn't given that much in the movie, he pretty much just has some sword play. And his sword play in this movie is really not as good as like it was in Conan 1 and in Conan 2, The Destroyer. But that's because he's not the front guy. But still, Arnold does pretty good. Brigitte Neilson, for being a model, she does pretty good with the swordplay. And again, there's a lot of heavy Asian martial arts kind of choreography to the sword fights in the movie. The other thing about it is that Red Sonja blatantly has a lot of Asian aesthetic to like her training, like up front. I know there was some in Conan the Barbarian. There was like one dude who like trained Conan how to fight when he was a barbarian, but then the dude like bounced from the rest of the movie. This one really has a heavy, like her sensei master, Mr. Miyagi or whatever, is basically an Asian dude who has on the most awkward costume in the world. Where like Brigitte Neilson is so tall, there's like these things that are like pointed off his shoulder, and you can tell when they're doing the takes, the actor, the Asian gentleman, is like in the character, like, oh, you need to trust man. I forgot this is like supposed to be a go female power movie, but I'll get onto that later. But anyway, he turns and she awkwardly kind of ducks because she's so tall, but she's trying to stay in the scene. It's like the most awkwardly designed costume in the world. But I'm pretty sure back in 1985 when they filmed this, wasn't nobody even thinking about the logistics of her being 6'2" and this Asian man being 5'2", and him having this weird costume that'll damn near stab her in the eye every time he turns to do some emotional take. But it's just really awkward to see it. But back to what I was saying, there's a heavy undertones to Red Sonja's training or whatever. The gist of the story that I could get was that Queen Valeria, that's not her name, her name is Queen Gedra, comes to the village to rape and pillage just like Tulsa Doom. They basically physically assault Red Sonja, which I'm very shocked in watching this movie now that they do show it on camera. It is in close-up, but I was kind of like, wow, I watched this as a kid. And basically, Evil Queen Valeria wants to get some action with Red Sonja. And, a little bit of some interesting things that I'll talk about with the gold power thing a little bit later on. This definitely would not be a movie for the LBQT, gay and lesbian, transgender community. They would not be a fan of Red Sonja from 1985 at all. I just want to blatantly say that. Or if they could take a step back and just watch it as 80s cheese, they'll get it. But whoa, there's some undertones in this movie. Watching it now as an adult, that's really just kind of like, wow, they filmed this, okay. But it's enjoyable sword and sorcery cheese. Now, do I think it's super duper awful as like Arnold Schwarzenegger and the other people are? It's not that bad. I mean, there's a lot worse. I mean, the Barbarian, the twin Barbarian, the Barbarian Brothers movie, and there's tons of other Barbarian ripoff movies. The Hercules Lou Ferrigno movies, although I love those in their 80s cheese, those are much more terrible than Red Sonja is, I think. And I still like those as well. But I think there's a lot worse that came out from the 80s in this. It's really just the bad acting from Brigitte Neilson and some of the supporting players. I forgot Ernie Reyes Jr. from The Last Dragon and Sidekicks. Only us old dudes remember that TV show that he was on. He pops up in it. And, when I saw it when I was a kid, I loved the fact that he was in it because I love Sidekicks and him in The Last Dragon. Watching it as an adult, he's annoying as all hell. He's so annoying. I mean, he's really, really, really annoying. Really annoying. But he does some really cool martial arts just like he did in The Last Dragon and on the TV show Sidekicks, for those of us old guys who remember that TV show. I think there's episodes on YouTube. Just put in Sidekicks Ernie Reyes Jr. It'll pop up on there. But his martial arts is good. Sandra Bergman, she does a very excellent job of playing a villain. She plays it very much in the way that Raul Julia played Bison in the Street Fighter movie. It's just very tongue-in-cheek and cheesy. Even kind of the way Mel Gibson played the bad guy in Expendables 3. Just very, the material is trash, so you're just having a good laugh with it. But I will say, she doesn't play it as goofy as Raul Julia did. She kind of plays it more along the lines of like Frank Langella and Masters of the Universe from 1987. She kind of plays it strangely with a little bit of dignity, even though she's a very heinous villain, which is very strange. But she's really the best as far as acting goes. She does the best performance. Arnold also wins too, just because I think one of my favorite lines Arnold has in the movie is where Red Sonja is like, "Oh, I can't let a man have me," or something like that. And then well, Arnold, and listen to this line. Arnold turns around and he goes, "Well, I, I do not lie about what I want. And if I want something, I take it." And I was just like, it is, Arnold says it in that cheesy 80s way he used to say lines. I take it. It's hysterical. And knowing what we know about Arnold Schwarzenegger now, that line could be literal. Man. Oh yeah, I was gonna say too that this is supposed to be a go woman power movie, but it's really that there is some uncomfortable under the radar misogyny, but it was an 80s movie, so they 1985 too, so they were way behind on everything back then. Queen Valerie Gedra, she's basically an evil lesbian. She's an evil lesbian because her whole thing is she wants Red Sonja, and she don't want her just as a pal. Like, she wants her, like, for some unsavory, dirty activities, which is implied more in the final battle between them two, and that could be looked at. I think the way the movie displays it's done in a kind of a negative way. I don't get too far into that stuff. I just think it's 80s cheese, but I think anyone else who identifies with that community probably would maybe be a little bit uncomfortable with the way that villain is portrayed, and I do think it's maybe not portrayed with the most sensitivity. But then again, I guess if she's an evil, murdering, pillaging scumbag, I mean, she's not supposed to be presented with sensitivity, so one could argue that. So what we got here is some great 80s cheese, some good nostalgia. And I think the swordplay is pretty good. There's some moments of gore. Arnold chops the guy's arm off, commando style. You could tell the editing was really bad, and they cut it before he fully cut off the arm. But pretty good swordplay. I will say the big saving grace of this movie is the costume design is very, very good, and also the score for this movie. I mean, the score is. Goodness gracious. How could I forget who did the score now? And I've totally forgotten. But I'm sorry, guys. You'll have to look it up because I'm at the beach, so I forgot. But the score for this movie is actually done by a very famous composer. You guys can put it down in the comment section. And the score is very well done. It doesn't sound like that much music was written for it because kind of the same music repeats itself a lot of the time. But the score is really the best part. And I think one of my favorite scenes of the movie is kind of the banter. Well, we know behind the scenes. I'm not going to digress too far, but the banter between Red Sonja and Schwarzenegger, I actually think is pretty damn good. And I think my favorite scene of the entire movie is there's two favorite scenes I like. Is the scene where Arnold says the line, "I take it." That one's a great one. And I love the scene where like Arnold rescues Red Sonja from the glass castle guy from Conan the Destroyer, kills him. And there's like a scene where this is actually her best acting in the movie. She stops for a minute and watches Conan like kill all these villains. She kind of smiles and rides off, and I just really liked that moment. And I thought those were really good parts of the movie. And then I would say the final kiss between Conan and Red Sonja. I love that moment. That's a really good moment. That's always been my favorite moment in a really cheesy 80s movie. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can say about Red Sonja. Not else I can really think of. It's really just a cheeseball sword and sorcery 80s movie that they were trying to expand the Conan universe, and the gamble didn't pay off because everybody hated it. Arnold Schwarzenegger hates the movie itself. I enjoy it for what it is, the 80s piece of cheese, and it's fun. I want to digress and say, I think one of my other favorite moments in the movie is where they fight this underwater armor dragon lizard thing. It's absolutely fantastic because you can tell when they cut between a person in a suit with the head going up and down the water, and then like this Universal Studios style machine thing that's going through the water. It's so funny. There's a line where Arnold goes, "We can't kill it, it's a machine." And it's just like how would they know what a machine is back in that time? None of it makes any sense, but it's fantastic 80s cheese. So, on that note, thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and leave comments down below about Red Sonja, 1985. Don't forget to hit the little bell. And I just want to do something different, do a movie review while I'm on vacation. So I'm going to end this review by giving you all this wonderful view right before we end. Okay guys, we'll do this Total Recall style. I'm going to end when the sun goes into the camera.